Welcome to Memes Myself and 2020, a video series in which I explore what 2020 was like according to memes. In this video I'll show you some quarantine experiences in a nutshell. What are the consequences of quarantine and how did people on the internet cope with this new reality? When it comes to my meme collection, it seems that people tend to focus on the lighter and more practical aspects of quarantine. The inconveniences of cutting your own hair, for instance, which resulted in some quarantine haircuts. These two sociologists looked into memes. They argue that the missing haircut is just the tip of the iceberg in the recent predicament of the quarantine itself. Disorderly hair signals disrupted schedules and stressed relationships, going on long enough for hair and despair to grow. A haircut stands for a fresh beginning, a hopeful return to the way things were. Despite the fact that people longed for a new beginning and the tendency to cut some quarantine haircuts, taking care of one's appearance didn't seem to be that easy during quarantine. Many memes express some sort of struggle when it comes to taking care of oneself while staying in for days. Food seemed to be a comforting way to deal with pandemic stress, and so many people expected to gain weight during quarantine. But of course there were also some people who expected to lose weight instead. Quarantine moods would go from confident to desperate, from anxious to zen again, from having fun online to longing for snacks and wine. Although people on the internet usually highly value their appearance, quarantine would inescapably change people's looks. Whether people's post-lockdown appearance was caused by sleepless nights, the lack of social interaction, or people's coping mechanisms, in any case you wouldn't easily recognize someone after quarantine. So life moved online. Teachers tried to make the best of it as they were holding it together. Students reached the classroom within a click. It wasn't even necessary to leave bed. And skipping a class was never this easy. Whilst some studied, others applied for a job. And then this meme trend popped up, imagining what it would be like if everyone worked from home. Londoners commuted to work from their bathroom, and with the shift to the digital realm, people had to deal with some new awkward social situations. Unexpected video calls weren't always a good idea. Oftentimes there would be some sound issue, such as someone not understanding the unmute button. Dressing up would only be needed for planned video calls, and if and how we dress up would depend on whether we are communicating with others. In the same article as I've shown you before, the sociologist remarked that some areas that used to be a private backstage area suddenly became visible to our Zoom and Google Meet audiences. The visible things in our homes and offices reveal intended and unintended aspects of our identities. Therefore, online meetings could make it more difficult to maintain a certain identity. These few memes display parenting in times of lockdown, which was quite of a challenge as well. But how could people escape this reality for a bit? Many would usually book a ticket and travel somewhere else to take a break from their everyday routines. Now, this obviously wasn't possible, and so people had to find new ways to cope with the situation from home too. Experts advise to keep up a daily routine during quarantine, but that didn't seem to be an easy task. The days of the week have lost their conventional routines and distinctive meanings, and every day seems the same. There are no special days that punctuate the calendar. People dealt with the situation in different ways, but people on the internet mainly try to continue their everyday lives, with some mental breakdowns in between. Mixed feelings and mood swings during this time were being normalized. Whereas some seem to be extremely productive, for many people on the internet being productive under these circumstances was just an illusion. Lockdown changed our perception of time. Besides, it was more difficult to keep up a role during quarantine. Not only because of emotional distress and lack of motivation, the shift to online meetings affected our self-presentation as well. Above all, some new social situations came into existence, like receiving a video call when you are working in pajamas. The line "sorry, I'm practicing social distancing" would become a common breakup text. And whenever you get asked to do something you don't want to do, answering "in a pandemic" will solve it all for you.